Your voice broke up on me a little bit there. Can you ask that again? Well, the recent declaration by the United States of moving the embassy to Jerusalem has had a mixed set of reactions. On the one hand, in the overall Arab world, they can't say that they're for it, and there is a lot of protest and rejection. On the other hand, there actually hasn't been that much violent reaction to it. And I think everyone knows that Jerusalem really is the capital of Israel in any way you look at it. Interestingly enough, that some of the Arab countries, such as Saudi Arabia and Egypt, are more interested in making a treaty or a political military alliance with the United States and Israel to fight off what they consider to be aggressive actions from Iran. And so most of the Arab countries in the Middle East are more concerned about the threat of Iran than they are concerned about the status of the American embassy in Jerusalem. So while they can't say that they support it, that's not really an issue to them. And they see the United States as an ally in fighting Iranian Shiite aggression, as they see. And so the issue is a little overplayed in the politics. When we talk about moving the embassy to Jerusalem, you have to realize there already is a huge consulate in Jerusalem. Really, they could change it you could just change the sign on the door saying it's from a consul doing an embassy. There's really no challenge logistically to change it to an embassy. But moving of the status there is recognizing the city as the capital of Jerusalem. And of course, that is making a certain political statement. And unfortunately, it has the political ramifications to it as well. As far as the peace process, although some saying it hurts the peace process, I think from the viewpoint of the United States and also from Israel, that's not actually true. It actually will help the peace process because there is no possible peace process in any sense of the word without recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. It's not even a beginning of a conversation. So by establishing that fact, it actually in some ways moves the peace process forward. But of course, that would be debated as from somebody's political viewpoint. And I'm not particularly a political expert. We're talking about the spiritual and religious aspects of it. One thing for those of us who believe in the Bible, Jews and Christians, and from whatever side you are politically and whatever side you are theologically, we need to realize that the issue of Jerusalem is a major issue. The name Jerusalem is found in the Bible, Old and New Testaments, over 800 times, and the name of Zion is found over 150 times. So really, if you take the law and the prophets and the New Testament together, you have basically 1,000 references to the city of Jerusalem, which means it's an extremely important issue. And particularly when you compare that to the fact that it's not mentioned even one time in the Quran. So for Jews and Christians, this is a central spiritual issue, and that spiritual religious issue, of course, affects the perspective on how one is looking at the political issue today as well. Well, yeah. When we speak of the issue of Jerusalem, of course, it has not only a historical issue in the past, it has a certain issue according to the future, because there are many prophecies about the future, particularly when we look to what's called the end time or eschatology, the second coming of Jesus, the millennial kingdom. All those are deeply connected with the city of Jerusalem, both in a Jewish worldview and in a Christian theology. Of course, this affects how somebody may see eschatology as what role it takes. But in any case, in anyone that has any sort of evangelical Christian viewpoint, they would believe that Jesus is going to return, and very few would debate the fact that his return would come to the city of Jerusalem. So it is a central figure, position, and city. Now, when you look at also Jewish viewpoints of the end times and almost all Christian interpretation, it's looking toward a major war in the end times, which may be called the War of Armageddon. It may be called the War of Armageddon, of Gog and Magog. It may be called the End Times War. But in almost every scenario of end times warfare, that war, that apocalyptic war takes place centered on Jerusalem. So Jerusalem is seen as the center of conflict leading up to this moment, both of an apocalyptic war and of the second coming of Jesus. In addition, as we look to the end times prophecies, both in Old Testament and New Testament, the idea of a future kingdom of peace on earth, led by the Messiah, even for Jewish people that don't believe that Jesus is that Messiah, but there is the viewpoint will be an international kingdom on earth made up of peace between the nations, the Messiah ruling. For Messianic Jews and for evangelical Christians, and for any kind of Christian, that person would be Jesus, Yeshua himself. And in any scenario, the capital city of that worldwide earthly millennial Messianic kingdom is Jerusalem. So Jerusalem has that sense, not only of who's living in the city now politically, but it represents the hopes of both all of the Jewish and all of the streams of Christianity, the hope there is a coming better world, the world to come, a coming Messianic kingdom of peace and prosperity and joy upon the earth, with the Messiah, Yeshua, reigning on the earth. And the capital city in any of those scenarios has got to be Jerusalem. So Jerusalem is not just a political city in the past and the present. As we look to the future, it represents the hope of a future kingdom of peace and joy upon the earth. Thank you, dear. We love you. Bye-bye. God bless you and your program. Okay. Bye-bye.